Hey, what's up, Eli? Uh, Tired this morning. Went to bed way too late last night. Good stuff there on the app, though. Hopefully, we'll start testing soon. Supposed to be by the end of last month. Didn't happen. Bastard. All right, Domino's bouncing off that 200-day moving average. Oh, a little gap up today. Okay, can't say I was expecting that, but a couple of two pocket pivots right there on Domino's. Didn't notice that yesterday, and I'm tired today. Kind of strange. Kind of took a little turn down here. Yeah, market seems a little tired today. Maybe a good day if there's some bargains around here. I'm not sure if there is, though. Manitowoc. Oh, earnings were after hours yesterday. I thought the earnings. Okay. Manitowoc was up pretty good yesterday most of the day. Looks like it took a little dump in the afternoon, then a huge dump on earnings. 15%. UI down 15%. Wherever it is. There it is. Way down there. 200 period moving average. Just trying to hide in the earnings. Get out of there. Oh, now it's trying to hide at the 200 daily moving average. So maybe a bouncing area off the 200-day, but that is quite a large gap, 15%. Not a big fan of that. You may get removed from the actionable list. I know likey. All right, Manitowoc. I don't know, may also get removed from the actionable list. Inverted head and shoulders, maybe. We'll leave that for right now. Take Two Interactive, stalling at a trend line. There's a long-term turnaround play, not quite ready for the turnaround part. Let's add that to the long-term turnaround list. LK, kind of a dead cat bounce there off that trend line. Really hasn't gone too far. I'll call that 2 days of bouncing, and then subpar day yesterday. And then today we're starting off lower, so not so good there. Fortinet taking it on the chin on some earnings. Bouncing back very nicely, though. That could be a bounce off the 50-day. And that opportunity looks like it's mostly passed. Micron. Las Vegas Sands. Just undulating. Alibaba. Look at those undulating ones again. Put my different cap on. MJ. Remember MJ at the end of last year and like the first week of the year doing pretty good and then just falling apart right back down right at those low levels. Just right there. So not sure we're going to get that rally. Maybe some short covering is all we witnessed. End of the year profit taking, beginning of the year profit taking. That sounds more likely with this look. I think they're all stepping down. I'm not even sure it's any of their faults. Skyworks. This one looks good for maybe watching for an undercut and rally setup at some point in the next week or so. Right there, not too bad. Come on, Carvana. Carvana bounced off the 200-day, well complete. Already back above the 50 and stuff. NVIDIA keeps moving along. 50-day moving average being supported. Looks like we hit that a few days ago. Bounce back up. Let me move back down here. Melicabra, or whatever it is. Turn. CCC looked beautiful yesterday. Kind of gave it up in the afternoon. And then looks like so far just hanging out here today. Light, small pullback today. NVIDIA consolidating that bounce off the 50-day. Skyworks, something similar. Although it's kind of still down there. Whoops, what are you doing down there? Skyworks not too bad. playing around the moving average, likely to break the 50, which isn't the end of the world, but probably done with this up move for the moment, unless we bounce off a trend line or something, but I'm not sure if that one's going to hold. SIVB, double check that. That's still a little bit elevated. JD.com. It looks like kind of a lazy day in the market so far. Not sure if I should just click where my mouse is or if I should just click the number or click the key up. PayPal into new highs and stalling out a little bit. Kiwi getting really tight over here. That could maybe lead to a move. Volume getting pretty low as well. Look for a high to be taken out. That could be good for a pop. What's going on with Uber? Oh, she was yelling. She wasn't sneezing. Thank you, though. 9 minutes for the kids to get out the door. They get a good half hour to get ready. It's not like they are lacking for time. But, kids. Visa holding really nice. This nice little market pause is likely providing a very nice entry opportunity for Visa, which has been on the weekly chart, is doing all kinds of stuff. Roku, yeah, that one's looking good too. I'd keep Visa up there. Also, yeah, Roku's still doing okay. Lots of little undercutting rallies here. Waiting for the big one. Probably will happen on earnings. You're likely just going to have to buy an earnings gap. That's pretty much all there is to it on Roku. Earnings in 3 days. I'm not going to do nothing in 3 days. I do like the Visa setup, though. Beautiful little run up into a flag. 2 weeks into a maybe base. Hold on a second. Dang kids. Sorry, I decided to go check on the kids. Evan, any thoughts on AEY? Correcting himself there. Daily chart looks so smaller stock, likely on a normal exchange. I don't see any over-the-counter things. You have earnings coming up on the 13th, so that's about a week away. Just loosely broke out into new highs. This thing's very choppy. I will say that breakout yesterday was gangbusters, though. I don't know. So far, so good for this guy. It looks like it's been... one thing about this is very thin. What that means is that anyone with any kind of size can rally this thing up and drop it down whenever they want to. So when you're looking at average daily volume of only 62,000, you usually look for over 400,000 of average volume. This one's at 62, not 400. So this is extremely thin, meaning that accounts for the chop. There's just not enough liquidity for a stock to have only 62,000. Other than that, the fact that it's just generally risky to trade, it's not bad. If it breaks this trend line, this trend is done, and then who knows what's next. So you kind of have to pick your poison with this one. I don't know. Better fish to fry out there. If you did want to do something with it, I wouldn't be. I would keep it a much smaller position size than normal. Anytime you have excess risk, you want to take less position. All right, next up, Square from Rob. Yeah, well, we noted the other day that it was coming up to this trend line, and it could likely take a pause, and hopefully it consolidates and doesn't V out so far. I was hoping after yesterday we were going to consolidate. We're still above the 10-day moving average, so I can't be too mad at it. Excuse me. So I wish yesterday would have been a little bit more green. The market closed at the high, so I was kind of hoping Square would come back a little bit. I don't think it's broken though. Broken is not the word right there. It is just pausing at this stage of the game. The question is, what's the next leg after the pause? Are we going to pause and go down? Or are we going to pause and go up? That's the question. So right now I'm just holding on Square. We'll see. Maybe that proves to be a horrible decision. Everything's always clear in hindsight. EVR doing pretty good. So we mentioned this one coming out of a long-term turnaround play. And so I took a position, took a smaller position in EVR and added to that position a little bit yesterday as things were looking pretty good. Look at our volume yesterday. Huge pocket pivot. Lots of pocket pivots here for EVR recently. You got one right there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, going all the way back here to about 3 weeks ago. Good stuff here from EVR, and hopefully it'll just keep going. Hopefully we're broken out from this long-term trend line, and then we're good to go. On Square, it just depends on the behavior at the 10-day. To be honest with you, now, one thing to notice here is it had a small little undercut here. Hopefully that's like an undercut and rally or something. That's not really a low. This would be a low. You want to undercut and rally. This may be a low. You want to undercut and rally, but we don't have like a wick down here. So support of the 10 days fine. No, it's not that I want to get out if it breaks the 10-day, Rob. It's that as long as you're above the 10-day, there's nothing wrong with your stock. As long as you're above it. Once you get under the 10-day, you can evaluate things, I think. But above the 10-day, there's really nothing to do because you're still generally up, unless you bought Tesla at 905, like some people that I maybe know. Then you have an issue when you're super extended. So here's a good example, just because it's recent history. So here's the 10-day, but this is well above the 10-day. You don't want to buy 30% above the 10-day. Then obviously you're running a risk. But as long as I mentioned this on Tesla, if you recall too. Hey, we're above the 10-day. I'm not really that mad at this. And we maintained above the 10-day. We had a little bit of a little minor shakeout there, but it closed above the 10-day. And so you can just when you're above so here's the thing. When you're riding the 10-day like Tesla was like this, you can use the 10-day as your stop. So actually in Tesla, technically you would still be in it. You wouldn't have to sell if that was your particular trading model. I mean, this was a pretty good selling candle, don't get me wrong, but if this was just a normal uptrend, there's no need to sell it as long as it's above the 10-day. Oh yeah, it's her whole account. I told her she can never sell is what I told her. I'm like, don't look at it and never sell. Of course she looked at it, but she ain't gonna sell. Julius, in terms of the coronavirus, I don't know, but is it true all of China will shut down? I mean, I don't know if that's a fact. From some of the things I've been hearing is the coronavirus is, I mean, you can get it, but they say it's not quite as deadly as the flu. I don't know if that's correct. Um, I'm not sure if that's correct or not. All I know is that most of these viruses, I mean, the WHO and the CDC end up doing a really good job with. And I think the market's kind of taking that into account, and the fact it's not super deadly is good as well. It may slow some production and stuff down here and there, but I don't know. We'll see if it shows up in the numbers. Knowing China, they'll just make the workers work, 26 hours a day to make up the difference. So we'll see what's working today. We're looking at kind of what's not. Oh, okay, so maybe it's gotcha. Beyond Meat, big ups this morning. So that could maybe be an entry opportunity for Beyond Meat if it can get a little bit froggy here. We already have, whoops, we already have generally declining volume, which is good. There we go. So our volume is already pretty low, which is really nice. So we could be on the way back up. Hold on a second. I gotta go yell at the kids. All right, so that took a while. EVR, Rob. Let's go look at that gap. Yeah. I don't know. That's a mostly fill. That'll probably suffice. Supported all the moving averages is actually good like that. I hope it doesn't come all the way back down. Um, yeah. Hopefully it's okay. There's enough pocket pivots in there to give it some support. So if it does go back there and fill, I would think it's done. You don't want to be involved in it again if it gets all the way back down there. And yeah, not every gap has to be filled. I mean, this one was almost filled before, I mean, if you look here, it's not like it's sitting in an island and there's no price action. It chopped around this whole area for like months. So yeah, there's no need for this to come back down with this kind of volume. Ideally, it does not. Comes back down, it'll fail. So yeah, hopefully we're good there. We've based for a while on that guy. All right, let's take a look at these runners again. Cena on earnings, Beyond Meat for some reason, but again, volume declining very nicely and fairly rapidly there. So that could this breakout out of this pattern. This is what we've pretty much been waiting for on Beyond Meat since we started rallying up. If you recall, we said, well, let's let it base out and see what it does. Well, so far it's holding pretty good. There's a little undercut and rally right here. There's the low that it undercut. And then maybe off to the races. There's a higher volume bottom candle. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens here. What the hell's going on? They can never get out of the door. So that's a pretty aggressive trend line. It actually kind of just stopped at it, so maybe that's pretty valid. Twilio coming down a little bit. Earnings gap down. Need to see some support before you jump back in after one of those. Domino's Pizza up 1%, which lately has been pretty bounce off the 200 is good. And like we said earlier, a couple of pocket pivots here and here. There we go. Right there and right there, two nice green pocket pivots right off of the low. So that's actually pretty good. LHX looks like continuing slowly but surely. A little bit of a stumble there with earnings, but it looks like it's coming back pretty nicely. Oh, speaking of nicely, nice. Nice. A little gap down, filling the gap. We'll see what happens after that. Earnings coming up about a week. DHI, AMD still basically within its channel. Tesla still hanging out 750 level. Looks like I can get back into Tesla about where I sold. Although I've already redeployed some of that capital. How's iRobot doing after our big ups the other day? Okay, not too bad. We're kind of still hanging out here. That's a beautiful, beautiful volume candle right there. Hopefully that could start something. Although we had one here that didn't really do a whole heck of a lot. Remember I mentioned this is also not really a pattern right in here. So you kind of have to know a lot about the company and like it to buy there, I feel. ServiceNow on a gap up. Hasn't been filled yet. Pretty good on that earnings gap. Supported the 10-day. Okta was looking okay a couple days ago. Then it just can't get. See, there's not a lot of big volume down here. There's no big pocket pivots. There's one right there. Two, maybe there's one right there. Followed up by a big selling day. That's not a pocket pivot. So you end up with kind of a choppy pattern out of that, unfortunately. Ring with a cup and handle here. There's a nice cup and handle on the weekly chart. You've got 18% to the downside. That's super shallow for a cup and handle. These usually get about 33%. So breakout from Ring would happen over here at about the 24.50 level, 24.65. Come on. There we go. So that's basically our trend line. Can maybe look for an earlier entry on Ring. Volume isn't quite exactly what it needs to be. Not that it needs to be anything, but that's a pretty nice cup and handle. It's a fairly ominous day. Our average volume's low too, 187. That's pretty low. That's about half. So this is actually, probably can't buy that one. Excuse me. If we omit that wick there, we probably could draw a trend line here. Could be looking for an early entry on that. I was trying to look at the right side of this cup. There's not a lot of volume increasing on the right side. We got 3 days right there, which comprise a majority of the up move, and that volume is average. There's a nice up day. There's a nice up day. There's a stalling day. So, I don't know, ring's a little weird here. You almost have to play it just by the pattern because, again, the volume's super low. In your best case situation, you see generally increasing volume, and then we can get up to that 400,000. But right now, we don't quite have it. HEI in a much bigger base. This is one that had a huge move through most of last year and then stalled out towards the latter, I guess, quarter and a half. Could be on the upswing. Small. What do I have an arrow there for? I don't know. Kind of a general undercut and rally down here. Then coming back is pretty good. So we could find a comeback from HEI. Oh, there we go. There's a turnaround play in place right there for HEI. So maybe maybe that's a good one. Well, let me look what the volatility's looking like on this guy. So getting up there to about 145 just for some roundish numbers, I guess. A couple of good pocket pivots in here. Nice bigger ones. That's good. One, two, three, four. 4 cents this low. And not really any large sell candles. So that's actually pretty good. So it's kind of a sleeper. It just kind of had a small gap, and now it's basing a little just above this whole rectangular structure right there. So I'm actually not too mad at that. That's not too bad. 145 for May. It's only about a 14% move from that level. And actually, it looks like this. Is that May 14th? That could be doable for this guy. That one's not bad. HEI, I mean, when you look at the weekly chart, this thing's just crazy. Just starting to get a little more parabolic. See the 200-day moving average, which is akin to this 40-week right here. So we're still below that. Looks like we're trying to cross back above it. So we're starting to, getting a little bit more momentum here. That could be a decent little trade. Yeah, that's not bad. Let me throw that on my watch list over here. That's not too bad. Atlassian stuck up here in this high consolidation. Still looking really good. Symbol team. Just the word team. Good stock symbol. You can see this thing on the weekly. One of the biggest pauses it's had. We had this down here at about 33. Now we're at 153. So great move over here for Atlassian. Stalling a little bit up here, not too bad. D-Dog up 3%. Are you going to get a little healthier? D-Dog's not too bad. It's actually not selling off, which is good, but it's kind of hard to hold on to this. You almost have to buy this on the 10-day. You got a bunch of 10-day support right there. There's a bounce off the 50-day. Earnings are coming up in about a week, so that's going to give you that's going to be a reason for pause. If the market's healthy, it may gap up no matter what. We'll take a look at the global watch list for a minute. Then I think I'm going to get out of here. All right, Cena, Take-Two Interactive, Beyond Meat. Yeah, see, I like this. This Beyond Meat play could work out really nicely. This would be a continuation. Good look at the volume this morning. Super, super good. I mean, if you think this thing breaks out just in the next 2 or 3 weeks or so, you got a high here to 134. Yeah, you got... This is looking really good right here. One of the better actionable ones we've seen this morning, crossing the trend line. I mean, hopefully it holds up. We haven't seen this kind of volume stepping in the morning in a while. That was that low which stopped us, and then now we're seeing expansion volume. So I kind of like this. That's not too bad. Damn, that's super deep. I think I may actually take this trade. I'm a little late, getting late to it now. I'm not set up and logged into anything. And it's going to stall out here now that I'm looking at it. I guess the question is, where do I want to, how long do I think this is going to go for? This is a huge run right there. I mean, that's a big, big run. Look at that. I mean, if that measured moves out like that, that's insane. Not that it will. I mean, obviously it's already already past that in terms of its length, but 160 on the table's nuts. Yeah, see, there's it stalling now that I'm looking at it. All right, I'll give that some space. I'll keep an eye on that throughout the day. 10K BTC, that'd be great. Market's doing okay. Yeah, we got nice little action right there. Market's interesting. BNB's been really happy in the past couple of days. And Link, we talked about this yesterday with the base on base, but I wasn't as bullish as I should have been. Beautiful move up there for Link with the base on base. That's the third base on base pattern we've seen. I don't know if there's any left. I think they're all broken out. Maybe Neoform is a base on base. But there's kind of a base on base for Ethereum Classic. Yeah, it is a base on base, actually. ETH also just continuing there. Just beautiful volumes on ETH. It's slow and steady. Bitcoin Cash stalling a little bit. Couple of wicks in both directions. Market's doing pretty good. Got a second round of runners here, so it is what it is. But all right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. We'll grab something to eat before the really big show. Workday. Haven't seen Workday in a minute. pretty low volume on this run up. We'll see what happens with that. I'm not too mad at it though. Paycom, AMD, Paylocity. Hopefully all those payment companies run along with Square. Where's Square now? Oh, I'm on the global watch list. Julius, you have a nice day too. I'm going to get out of here, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Stay safe out there. Bye-bye.